And I'm going to make sure that Rumble actually goes live. So we're not going live yet.
Yeah,
we're doing a little
test.
There for a second. We're doing a little test because Rumble, I'm trying the new static RTMP on Rumble to see if it's actually going to work. We're live, so we'll wait to say hello to everyone. But I just want to make sure that it's going to actually work. And say hello to everyone. It is.
Wow.
I'm actually surprised that it's working.
Okay, so we're early.
So we are early. It's 6:29, so it's not that early. So I wanted to make sure Rumble was actually going to work, and it looks like it's working. So I now have a static address that we can use. So that's kind of cool.
Static address? What does that mean?
Yeah, well, it's RTMP is the address for doing live streams on Rumble, and I have to do a new one every single time. And so this will make it so that I don't have to do a new one every time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, so we need to...
So it's 6:30. So
okay, hello.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great week so far.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let me turn on the banner. This was kind of a weird start, but it's all good.
I forgot to do a couple of things, so I messed you up.
Yeah. No,
so looks like Rumble's good and everything else is good. So happy about that. So for any new people, my name's Dan. I'm the author of BibleProphecyandTruth.com. This is my wife, Kelleen, co-hosting with me, and she's also our moderator on the chats. And our other co-host, Diane, is Kelleen's sister and our sister in Christ. So welcome.
Hello. Hello.
So we're going to talk about relevant news from the last couple of days and how it relates to biblical prophecy. And then we're going to talk about chapter 21 of my book/website that we've been going through. So welcome. And my darling.
Hi, Annie. Yes.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it. I laughed so hard when I did the playback for it. I laughed so hard at that. Anyway, so would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and head over to Rumble and make sure you start an account over there. Follow us and get established over there because YouTube is probably
going to delete us soon enough, I'm sure. Google's getting really bad, and of course Google just bought YouTube, so their algorithms are going to start,
and it's not just us,
killing off all kinds of people, I'm sure. So
it's not just us. There's so many people that if they don't like the way you think and believe, they're shutting them down. They're making it hard for people to follow them, even when they have thousands of followers.
Yeah, they don't get
yeah,
the algorithms don't put them up high up on the list, so then people don't click on it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to click on the notification bell so you do not miss any uploads. And get notification, because that's probably your best bet at getting notified.
Yeah.
Right.
And Rumble and videos.prophecyandtruth.com will live a lot longer than YouTube. So at least as far as anyone who's speaking the truth will no longer be able to broadcast on YouTube soon, I'm sure.
It's getting very bad.
Hopefully the people that don't like us being on YouTube will be touched by God.
Well, that would be nice.
That would be great. And then they would change their email.
Now on only the truth on YouTube.
Yeah.
I wish.
There.
Yeah, that's too good to be true.
So
anyway,
okay, I got my little friend back.
Are you
ready? Hello, Cardi. We're going to give some people some really interesting information.
No, I'm not saying anything. I'm just sitting here.
Him.
I'm just sitting here.
So if you guys are really tired of going online and finding nothing but lies, or you see all this information on the Bible, then it's really confusing, you can go to BibleProphecyandTruth.com. You will not get any lies. It's some of Dan's notes that he has put together on his website, and it's in a lot of detail, so you guys don't misunderstand what he's talking about on there. But if you do have a question or a comment, you can get in touch with him at prophecyandtruth@gmail.com. Join us for the time being on our live stream. You can go to youtube.com/prophecyandtruth, and you can even go over to rumble.com/Bible prophecy. Now on our website, or on these websites, yeah, you can see all different videos and stuff that we put together. They're really cool. It's nothing but the truth.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you can even go to a new website called videos@prophecyandtruth.com. Also,
sorry,
videos.prophecyandtruth.com.
Videos.prophecyandtruth.com. Oh, okay. It's the dot. I always forget that one.
Be there or be
square.
Yeah.
Hey, Jay.
Party.
Thank you, Diane.
Jay. So Jay has his normal screen name or whatever, profile name or whatever.
Yeah.
No, it's pessimistic optimist.
Oh, that's
okay. That's Jay.
A different
right. So he said, "Hey guys," and patch the code, and then in parentheses, pessimistic optimist. So that we would know that it was him. You see what I'm saying?
I know it's patch the code. I know it's patch the code on Gab. So
all these people are messing with me, okay? Because
they're changing their handles.
is Moonhawks, and Jay will sometimes show up in as patch the code. But anyway, he's shopping right now. Jay. So thank you for taking us shopping. Buy me something.
Yeah.
If you're shopping, you might as well buy us something.
So welcome everyone. I am going to share my screen.
Okay.
Get rid of that. And we're going to talk about the news first. So let me open my little document that I have ready for us today. So there's not a lot of new stuff as far as the signs that would herald the coming of Christ. I mean, everything's still kind of, and that's the thing, you know, I've been a Christian for 20 years this fall. It'll be my 20th anniversary, the fall of this year, a couple of months. And it seemed like things were really imminent in 2005. Yeah. But things just keep dragging on, and it's just because God has his hand in the way. God is not going to let things progress until he's ready.
Hey, Jody.
Hey, Jody, welcome. So anyway, having said that, there was one thing I just wanted to point out. Now, this isn't the end of the world prophetic thing, but in Nashville, Illinois, the residents are told to evacuate due to imminent dam failure, meaning it's probably going to bust open. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a lot of old, aging, failing infrastructure in the United States. Lots of it. And our water, our electricity, everything is aging. And the crazy thing is they're not rebuilding it all like they should be. They should be updating it all. They should be rebuilding it all, making it new. And instead, things are aging and getting ready to fail. It's like, why is nobody doing anything about it? Well, if you ask me, they don't want us to, because they want it all to fail. That's my answer. Anyway, so that's all I had today. There isn't a lot of significant earthquake activity. The normal stuff. I mean, there's still plenty of earthquakes, just nothing in the 7 or 6 range in the last couple of days. 5s. I mean, but you know, when we look at 4.5 plus over 30 days, we still have 396 earthquakes,
Yeah.
which is significant. Just no big ones in the last couple of days. So
That's weird.
So I want to talk about this real quick. This is an article on, or it was a video, Crossroads, talking about the CCP in China, a growing isolation of China, which they're actually fostering this growing isolation. They are really, really pushing hard the old Mao Zedong era communist stuff. It's like they're trying to go back to that. And the thing that was pointed out in this is that, NATO is calling out China for collusion with Russia. They're supplying weapons and helping Russia with the war, but they're supposed to be part of the UN, right? Which is the UN supposed to be about, humanity and united humanity. And so what's China doing? They're actually trying to break up NATO. They're trying to break up the alliance. They're violating the UN Charter. The human rights violations of the CCP are just astronomical, what they do to their own people over there. They're expanding their nuclear arsenal, which, the treaty is supposed to be that, we're not going to, build up our nuclear arsenal where we can actually wipe out the earth 100 million times. But they're building their nuclear arsenal. I mean, there's so much that China is doing right now. They're working. They really want to accelerate their 100-year plan and end it now, take over the world. That's their plan. And I put this note here. I believe that China will be the attacking force that we see in the Sixth Trumpet, the 200 million man army, I believe, is China. We've talked about that in our Seven Trumpets videos and other times. So I'm not going to go over it today, but I really do believe that China is going to be that force.
But what's interesting is that people think the way I did about China. There's a lot of things on the news that are saying they're bankrupt, they're desolate. Well,
China as a whole is not necessarily. Now there is a problem with the housing, not housing specifically, but the construction businesses there. And the problem is that they overbuilt like crazy. They built these huge cities with nobody in them. And so this has caused what's happening now.
And they had the one-child law, and now they're saying that they don't have that anymore because the generations are dying off because there's no babies. There's only
and
people aren't having babies.
They're realizing their mistake now, but it's probably
they didn't want to be overpopulated.
Too late for them. So there's a lot going, and there is a lot to that argument that there is a lot of economic problems in China.
I mean, I didn't even realize that. Remember, because I came to you and I was like, they're running out of money. But how can they be running out of money when especially in the
everything
US,
you buy is made in China.
Everything you buy from Amazon is from China.
And China has they invest billions of dollars in their military. They're not broke. They're not destitute by any stretch. So,
aren't they also the number one country that's making computer chips?
Well, yeah, that's the thing is it's the lithium mining that happens in Taiwan and in China. The chip industry is heavily dependent on that side of the world. That's why they're trying to open mines. Actually, there's a thing from a couple of live streams ago that I'm not remembering very clearly now, but they found a huge deposit somewhere in North America. And so they're trying to get that open and running so that we're not so dependent. But that's, of course, years away to actually have that producing. But anyway, it's just, China, China, China. I mean, and then, the new VP pick, well, the new VP candidate, I should say, because he's not actually VP yet. Vance actually said during the RNC that China was talking about China is the biggest threat to the U.S. Seriously, in a lot of ways.
And we have a lot of them that came up over the border.
Yeah, well, but here's what he was talking about, and I'm going to what? I forgot about this. Continue watching for free. Yeah, great. So let me just continue with Google. I'll just sign in with an account. Continue.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So now I can. No, thanks. All I want to do is look at this.
Welcome to NPD's China in Focus. I'm Fiona G, filling in for Tiffany Meyer. Our top.
Okay. Now, sorry about that. I should have done that on this computer earlier instead of just forgetting that I had to sign in. So anyway, I wanted to show you this list of things that they talk about in this article. The UBS Bank 60% U.S. tariff could dent China growth. That's what Trump's talking about, the 60% tariffs. The Russia and China joint drills in the South China Sea. The former NATO leader, China poses a deadly threat to the UK. So it's not just us that are worried about this. The U.S. and China are battling for ties with the Pacific Island nations. That's been going on for a long time. China is stockpiling similar to Germany pre-World War II. I wonder what they're up to, huh? They're planning something. 40 Chinese banks vanished. I mentioned that Sunday, where they just bam, they were absorbed by the big banks.
Yeah.
They're doing the same thing there that they're doing in the U.S., where they're killing off the little banks, absorbing them into the big banks, and it's all about control. They can get all the banking through one system and control it all with CBDC. That's their ultimate goal. A weak China demands hurt sales at Richmond. I don't even know what that's. Central Chinatown gets years worth of rain. Oh yeah, there was a town that got a whole year's worth of rain just in one day.
Oh yeah, remember the flooding?
Yeah. Natural disasters in China, the flooding in areas and the famines in other areas, and it's just it's the crazy stuff going on in that part of the world with natural disasters is astronomical. Germany wars of Russian Chinese influence in Africa. Was reading about that a while ago, where they're actually trying to insert their influence there. So, I mean, that's just kind of the list of stuff, that China is up to. They have a 100-year plan that's 70 years in right now, and they're accelerating it, which their 100-year plan is to take over the world. And they're definitely pushing to make that happen.
Yeah.
So then on to other things. Iran is now Netanyahu says this, so take it or leave it. I mean, his intel says that Iran is planning a multi-front invasion of Israel.
Well, yeah, they've been saying they want to do that.
Yeah,
Iran
but for
is
them
not
to
making
actually
it a secret.
For them to actually have boots on the ground invasion is a whole new ballgame now. All they've been doing up until now is jihad attacks, bombings, things like that. But actual full-on invasion would be a whole new ballgame.
I wouldn't be shocked. Would you?
No. And this is actually a really, really old picture. This is probably
look at
15
BB.
years old.
He's young.
I mean, or maybe 10 years old, because this is where they've been for a decade or two now. Is everybody's waiting for Iran to finally get a nuclear bomb and then lob it at Tel Aviv. because that's their goal, right? It's their stated goal. They say they want to blow up Israel.
Oh, yeah.
And then this was just silly. It's like this Palestinian claiming that Big Ben was stolen from Palestine.
Oh,
Where do
brother.
they
Like,
come
what?
up with this stuff?
I know. It's like
And
they're
who are
so
the people
deluded.
who believe it? Who are those people who actually believe
they're
stuff
just
like
they're
that?
fed so many lies and they just believe them.
I just feel like it's a cult.
It is. Islam is a hate cult.
Well, everybody
Yeah.
that's on board with them is a cult.
Oh yeah, that's the delusion that's hitting literally half the world right now.
All the college
this-
kids, they're in a
the
cult
propaganda
now.
from Islam has worked. You know, they've been in our schools for a couple of decades now,
Islam?
30 years. Well, Islam, yeah,
I didn't know that.
the propaganda machine from Islam has been in our schools for a couple 20, 30 years now. Talked about that on Sunday, where they've infiltrated and they've been teaching our children the woke agenda, the whole Islam is wonderful agenda, when Islam is a religion of hatred. It's a religion of Jew hatred. And we're going to see some more stuff about that. But that was just like, what? That's funny. Nigeria, this is, you know, I bring up Nigeria a lot because Nigeria is like half and half Christian and Muslim. And Muslims are killing and slaughtering and taking as slaves Christians like every day, pretty much in Nigeria. Here's an article where Muslims have murdered over 50,000 since 2009 in Nigeria. And it's genocide, but nobody cares about that because, you know, we're not supposed to hate Muslims. We're supposed to love them, even though, you know, they murder and rape and they're all for slavery, no women's rights, you know, all of those things. Crazy. And then the propaganda, right? Most people don't really know much about Islam. Why? Because all we're fed is the propaganda, which doesn't really tell us much of anything about Islam. Most people don't really even know where Islam came from. Some dude named Muhammad, you know, and, you know, but there's a lot about the history of Islam. And I recommend a book called The History of Jihad by Robert Spencer. It was a very, very enlightening book about where Islam came from and where it really is. It's a religion of hatred. It's a religion of jihad. This is not, you know, extremists. The religion is a religion of jihad. And if you don't know that, then I really recommend reading that book. It's really good. Or just go to jihadwatch.org, which is Robert Spencer's website. Biden sending another 100 million to Palestine, which equals Islamic Jihad, because Palestine is Hamas. It's like,
all the time.
You know,
it's either Ukraine.
We've seen all the money that we sent to Palestine go to Hamas. So why are they sending them more money? You know, it's just absolutely insane. We've seen Hamas stealing all the aid that we're sending over there. You know, it's like so two-faced. It's like, well, I don't support this, but I'm going to send a whole bunch of money. It's so, it's just mind-boggling. Why aren't more people screaming and yelling about this? You know, why is everybody just, where are all the Republicans that are supposed to be, you know, fighting for good here? You know, where's anybody that can do anything? Why is nobody doing anything? That's what I want to know.
maybe people are just thinking, oh, that's far away from here. It's not going to do anything to us.
Yeah, well, but I'm talking about the politicians, the people in power that could actually change things like this. Why aren't any of them doing anything? Yeah. And I know that, the Democrats have control of the Senate and almost control of the House. And basically, it doesn't matter what the Republicans try to do, they can't pass anything anyway. They try to introduce bills, but it just gets shot down. So that's another side of the story, right? It's another side of the coin that they can't really do anything because their hands are tied because the enemy, and I say the enemy because all of these liberals that want to destroy our lives and just kill us off and destroy America, they're our enemy. They literally are. Not that we should rise up with weapons and fight or anything, but we should fight legally and we should fight the good fight to try to stop this. I never advocate for violence, so don't anybody get me wrong. I'm not advocating for that. So this is another one that was like in New York City, a Muslim taxi driver was caught on video beheading the Jesus statue in a park and spitting on it. Now, why is that significant? Well, because we have to remember that it's a religion of Jew hatred, but they hate Christians just as much as they do Jews. They're just not saying so much right now because they know that the Christians in this country are still a majority. So they're kind of, everybody needs to hate the Jews, and then Christians will be next on the list because once they get to that part where everybody hates Jews, then they can just translate that right into Christianity. And we're already seeing that, right? Where the woke are trying to turn Christians into terrorists somehow, like any white male, and typically what they mean is a conservative man, Christian, is a terrorist according to them. It's just a reminder that this is the propaganda, and then when the Antichrist comes into power, Christians are going to be right there on the list with Jews to kill them all. We've got to hate Jews and Christians. I mean, it's coming. U.S. lawmaker blasts the UN for teaching children to hate Jews because the United Nations is very much a anti-Semitic organization. They always vote against Israel on every issue. It's a Jew-hating organization because they're the woke and the propaganda machine, and Islam really rules that. I know. And the funny thing is, there's so many people that say that Jews run the world. The Jews are responsible for everything, and the Jews are all the enemy. Then
we're such a tiny little country.
And how come they can't actually control anything if they run the world? They can't control the media. They can't control the UN.
They're not in the presidency.
They can't control the International Criminal Court. They can't control the EU. They can't control the US. They don't control anything. So how do they run the world? It's just crazy.
Stupid.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's kind of rude. It is really stupid. I thought I had some more stuff on that. Maybe not. I do have a video I want to show you right now on this subject on Jew hatred. I'm going to play this. My brother Raja in India sent me this, and we talk about how Islam really is a religion of Jew hatred, that it's in their doctrine. It's in the Quran. It's in the Hadith and the Sunnah that they are supposed to hate Jews. It's demanded of them as Muslims. So I'm going to play this video here real quick. It's not English, so you'll have to pay attention to the closed captioning. But this is a whole bunch of Muslim leaders saying these things. So watch real quick.
نحن نعادي يهود حتى ولو أعادوا إلينا فلسطين لأنهم كفار.
لو أن اليهود تركوا لنا فلسطين خلاص يبقوا حبايبنا؟ لا طبعا، عمرهم ما هيبقوا حبايبنا إطلاقا. عقيدتك في اليهود واحد أنهم كفار، اثنين أنهم أعداء، مش أعداء عشان يحتلوا فلسطين، وإنما هم أعداء ولو لم يحتلوا شيئا.
وإحنا كراهيتنا أو كرهنا لليهود
based upon their faith.
من منطلق عقيدة. القرآن هو اللي بيدعونا
Quran says to hate them.
وما نحبهمش.
هؤلاء يعانوا من حالة نفسية مضطربة. والله مش أنا الذي أقول، القرآن
The Quran says it.
وصفهم بأنهم لا يوجد لهم مثيل. لتجدن أشد الناس عداوة للذين آمنوا اليهود. يهلك هيك قرفة ناس لا عندهم لا دين ولا مبدأ ولا ضمير ولا. أنا أستنكر ممن يؤمن بالتطبيع معهم، ممن يؤمن بالجلوس معهم، ممن يؤمن أن هؤلاء بشر. ليسوا بشر.
They are not human beings.
لا بذوات دين ولا ضمير ولا أخلاق.
هؤلاء هم اليهود باختصار. وإن لنا عندهم نحن المسلمين لثأرا لا والله لن ينقضي إلا باستئصالهم بإذن الله تعالى.
أعداء المسلمين بعد إبليس هم اليهود. من الذي قال ذلك؟
Allah.
Yeah, said that. Yeah, so it just, I know I've been saying this a lot. I've been showing you a lot of articles. I've been showing you tons of stuff. This is just more proof that Islam really is a religion of Jew hatred. That is the basis for Islam, is hating Jews and Christians, because Muhammad hated Jews and Christians, and that's the religion came from him, and
Allah.
ultimately Satan, who is was the moon god of the pagan Arabs, that Muhammad used to create his monotheistic new god, and it's really just Satan behind it. Satan is the one who met Muhammad in the cave and gave him this religion. I'm certain of it. So, yeah. And then I had to show you this, because this is if you don't know who O'Keefe is, he's James O'Keefe is a man fighting against the woke and the machine, and but he talks about in his new undercover video where the Disney creative marketing director, a proud drag queen, wants little boys and girls to see LGBT content. If you haven't boycotted Disney yet, you should, because this has been going on for a long time, but it's just gotten so much worse lately that I live in Florida and I will never give another dime to Disney ever. That is so disgustingly vile.
Well, the movies that Disney's coming out with are so pro LGBT that it is so bad.
It's disgusting. It's horrible.
And their pride stuff, and
so
it's true.
Anyway, wanted to point that out, and then I wanted to talk about this. It's kind of interesting that we actually had at my workplace, we had a guy who is he's a scientist, but he's like a data scientist, and he was talking about cognitive bias and cognitive dissonance, where you believe something so strongly, it doesn't matter what anybody shows you, what you see, or what you read or hear, or if you will not see it and you will not believe it. And that's what cognitive dissonance is, and a lot of people today, unfortunately, have this dissonance where there's a conflict with what their belief system is, so they can't even go to look at the opposite. Any data or anything that opposes that belief that they have in their brain. They will just block it out. They just won't look at it. They won't talk about it. They won't see it. And that's the thing. I have to point this out. I'm a human being. I'm not anything special. When I was an atheist, I struggled with cognitive dissonance because I did not want to believe in God. So I had to make the alternative work in my mind. I struggled so much with trying to make evolution work in my mind because when you really look at the data available, evolution is impossible for the life that we have just in a human being. It's literally impossible to have arisen from accident. I mean, when you look at certain things, like what is it? Proteins and nucleic acids, and the astronomical. I mean, I'm talking like billions to the billionth power astronomical impossibility for it to have happened the way it did, and just by accident. And so, but the thing is, when we all need to be doing this, no matter what we believe, and this is why there's so many people that go to church and you try to talk to them about what the Bible actually says, and they just won't believe it. They'll argue, and then they'll start attacking you personally when they can't argue with the scripture, and that's cognitive dissonance. It happens to church people all the time. It happens in the world all the time. I have discussions with Christians and atheists, and there's just so many people, and it's like talking to a brick wall most of the time. But the reason I'm saying all this is because we, all of you and all of us, need to. What is it? What do we believe? Like, this is what I tell Christians that have gone to church their whole life. You got to forget everything you think you know.
Right.
And you've got to read the Bible from cover to cover, and you've got to let it teach you and dispel all those lies that you've been taught for your whole life. You've got to seek to disprove the information that's in your mind, along with trying to prove what most people, all they ever do is look for confirmation of what they already believe, and they ignore everything else. That's what people with cognitive bias do. They look for confirmation of what they want it to be, and then anything that conflicts with that, they ignore it. We can't do that. We have to let facts overshadow our belief. And I bring this up right as we're going to go and talk about evolution, because evolution is one of those things that it's promoted by Satan. It's promoted by the scientific community, because if you don't go along with their woke agenda, you get shoved out. You get no funds. You get nothing, and you get quietly obliterated if you don't go along with them. And that's why everybody believes in evolution, because everybody in the establishment are saying this. So I struggled with it, and I know that there are other people that struggle with it. Even when I was an atheist, I knew it was impossible, but I was making things up in my own mind so that I could make it work in my mind. And I made things up to say, well, it could have been this or that or the other, because I so did not want to believe in God, which is the alternative. So I bring that up because that was me. And I'm sure there's lots of other people that fit that. So hopefully, if you believe in evolution, or if you believe that evolution fits into the Bible somewhere, then stick with us for the next couple of weeks as we explore this. And we're not going to just, most evolution, or most atheists will say, well, don't prove it to me with your Bible, prove it to me with facts. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do.
Yeah,
We're going to
exactly.
prove it to you with scientific fact,
Mhm.
along with the Bible. So stick with us. And I think if you're like me, oh, come on, stop that. If you're like me, facts can overshadow what you strongly believe, if you will just let it. So let's talk about this today. It's chapter 21. We're going through my entire book, which is all on the internet. Every chapter or everything I've ever written is in my notes or in newsletters or in the original 31 chapters of my book. But it's all on the internet. It's all on the web. And it really is, all it is my notes as I've studied over the years. And I've just written my notes in such a way that I can publish it for other people to see. So we've gone through prophecy and truth, and we're now studying creation versus evolution. And the common theory, right? The Big Bang was that, there was hard matter and energy, and it exploded. And over billions of years, hard matter, which has no life in it at all. That's like taking a rock, sterilizing it so there's no bacteria, no life, no living substance of any kind on it, and then saying if I expose that to energy long enough, it'll actually become life. It's like taking the bicycle in my garage and saying if I stick it up in front of energy long enough, it'll turn into a tiger. It's kind of really a silly idea in the first place, that hard matter became biological life just by accident.
I know.
It's really that,
It's silly.
anyone who really thinks about it has to struggle with that, and they call it science today. They teach this in schools as if it's a fact. And I want to point out to you what Webster's definition of science is. It's knowledge, or a system of knowledge covering general truths or the operation of general laws, especially as obtained and tested through scientific method. So for something to be a science fact, it has to follow the scientific method of observation, hypothesis, testing, and demonstration. Nothing in science can be a fact until you can demonstrate it. You can repeat it. You can show your hypothesis. You can test it, prove it, and demonstrate it to other people. That's the only way something can become a science fact. So tell me how evolution has become science fact when they have never, ever been able to demonstrate any stage of evolution. And we're not talking about just genetic aberration or, beings or creatures being able to adapt. We're talking about actually changing into another species.
Jay says,
Right.
"Oh, Dan, you just don't understand the science."
Yeah, right. I know. And that's what, anytime I get in an argument with an atheist that believes in evolution, and I start pointing out things to them, it becomes an attack on me personally every single time. And just that, they don't, it doesn't matter what I say anymore just because I'm stupid and they don't want to listen to me. Because they can't argue with it. It's like arguing with people
They
about
can't.
the Bible.
If you don't have facts, there's no way that you can argue your point at all.
Yeah.
They think they have facts, but it doesn't make sense.
Well, and to be honest, most people that believe in evolution have never seen the facts that I'm going to show y'all in the next couple of weeks. They've never seen it because science never admits to any of it. Mm-hmm. And they block it out. They don't allow it to be taught, just like all of the other, what's the word? where they're not letting us speak. They're not allowing free
Censorship.
speech, censorship. They've been doing this for literally years with evolution and science. Same thing that they're using very heavily today in other areas. So evolution has never been shown to exist. There's never been any intermediate stages found, which I'm going to show you in this article where Darwin himself said, why don't we see innumerable intermediate stages in all the stratum layers? Which, if evolution was true, we would see innumerable intermediate stages throughout all the stratum layers if there was any fact behind it at all. But they haven't found even one. There's none. A species is a species is a species. There are no intermediate stages of some species turning into another species. They don't exist. They've never found any. So you say, well, what about Lucy? Well, we're going to talk about that when we get to that chapter. So, and then, what about all the skull bones of men in evolutionary stages? Well, we're going to talk about that too.
They're just monkeys in their different stages. Okay.
Well, and then when you look at Aborigine tribes and things, people, human beings alive today with those types of skull characteristics.
Yeah, because don't you think that that maybe 1,000 years ago people did look a little bit different?
Well,
they were taller, maybe, or
before the flood,
seem to be
there
so
was many
short.
differences, and then
Yeah.
the thing was
But
is
that's not
after the
evolution.
flood, all of the genetic sequences started to. I'll say they started to get weaker. They started to lose a lot of information because
diluted.
And because what happens with genetics is, if your parent has XY, one parent has XY and the other parent has YZ, say, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you as a child could get X and Y from both parents and not Z.
Annie, how different
you
we
might
are.
not get Z from the one parent. So then that genetic sequence is gone from what is now your bloodline. Now, if the parent with the YZ has another child that gets the Z, then that will be passed on to that child's descendants, but you'll never pass it on and your children will never have it. So it gets kind of diluted over time unless there's a mix going on. And
that's how you can have two different children in the same family. Like Annie was the hazel eyes, blonde hair, fairer skin, and then I was dark.
And
yeah,
because you don't get all of your parents' genes from both sides. You get some of it. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to talk more about that later too. When we talk about these, evolutionary stages they found. But I want to, here's the thing. The definition of a religion is a set of beliefs concerning the cause, nature, and purpose of the universe. Literally, evolution fits that definition to a T. It's a set of beliefs concerning the cause, nature, and purpose of the universe. And, I'm not the only one who says that. I mean, there's lots and lots of people. Henry Morris, PhD, wrote the Impact publication number 107. I mean, there's lots and lots and lots of people that agree with that. I'm not the only one saying it. It is not a science. And here's the thing, modern science has invalidated the theory of evolution because back in the 1800s, they didn't have the same technological advances that we have today. They couldn't see things like the flagellum, for example. It's a molecular machine inside most living things. It's inside people. It's inside animals. I'm going to try to blow this up for you a little bit here. It has a propeller. It has gears. It has things, and it actually moves through the body. It seriously does. The flagellum, it's a machine. It has 41 integrated parts. And if it was missing one of those parts, it could not function.
Mm-hmm.
So according to the theory of evolution, it would have had to sit there for who knows how many millions of years, useless, having no function whatsoever, until it magically somehow accidentally contained all 41 of these parts where it could actually have a purpose now. I mean, the logic of that is ludicrous. It's dumb. To think that for all that time it sat around with no purpose, changing and changing and changing until it actually had a purpose. So it's like, wait, what? The idea of that is just ridiculous. So, and Darwin himself said if it could be demonstrated that any complex organism existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous successive slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down. Well, here you go. Tell me how the flagellum was formed over numerous successive slight modifications when it would have had absolutely no purpose or function before it was in the state it is today. He himself said that it doesn't work based on modern science. So I'm not going to just read through this. One of the things, the law of science. There's lots of laws of science, but one of the laws of science is that everything decays. Everything left to itself will tend towards disorder and decay. So the Big Bang Theory actually violates this basic law that order came out of chaos. It's backwards. It's opposite of the law of science.
Mm-hmm.
Everything dies and decays. Everything rots away. Stone buildings from ancient cultures decay and fall apart. If we look at old, ancient Roman structures and how they're literally decaying and falling to pieces in just a matter of a couple millennia. And, they're saying that stuff has survived for millions of years. It just it defies logic. And the Bible itself says that, in Hebrews 1:10, thou, Lord, in the beginning hast laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the works of thy hands. They shall perish, but thou remainest, and they shall all wax old as doth a garment.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing it says in Psalms 102. Everything rots away, especially if it's exposed to the elements.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's buried, it can turn to stone very quickly. And in fact, a couple of years, things can turn to stone. People say that it takes millions of years for something to petrify and turn to stone. It can happen as quickly as a couple of years. Yes, we can prove that, and we're going to prove that as we study through this. But if it's left out in the elements, it's going to rot away. It's going to be degraded and eventually disappear altogether.
Yep.
Dust to dust.
And it's just like people used to think that a big rock would fall faster than a small rock. This was like common belief, like science belief, that if you took a big heavy rock and a smaller, lighter rock and dropped them, the heavy rock would fall faster. But that's been proven false. Mm-hmm. By science. They fall at the same rate of speed. And there's all kinds of things that science fact becomes tomorrow's discarded trash, because we just discovered that's not true. the thing about evolution is it's cognitive bias. It's cognitive dissonance. Just like when I was an atheist, I refused to acknowledge God. So I had to make evolution work because what else was there? Right? I mean, even if aliens came and populated our planet, well, they still had to have evolved somewhere or something, right?
When was the first, do you remember when you first acknowledged that maybe you were not really believing the right thing? Do you remember?
With evolution?
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't pinpoint a time. No, I struggled with it for years because I tried so hard to make it make sense. And I literally made things up in my own mind to compensate for all the holes and inconsistencies.
But when did you, I mean, because even before you were a Christian, you even started going to church and stuff, right?
No.
Oh.
No.
So it was just in that moment of salvation you realized that you were thinking dumb stuff?
Well, no, before I became a Christian, I struggled with evolution because the theory didn't make sense.
Yeah.
I couldn't, scientifically and logically, it does not make sense. And I struggled with it just because it didn't make sense.
And then in a blink of an eye, you just changed everything you ever thought and everything.
Well, God transformed me that day in my garage. Yes.
Wow.
I became a new man, and I just, all it took was acknowledging God, and now everything makes sense. And that's the thing. Even what the scientific evidence we find in the earth, all of the scientific evidence we find in the earth proves the flood of Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
It shows us exactly how all of the scientific evidence in the earth is exactly what would happen with a massive worldwide flood.
Do you know that they found seashells
on the top of all the mountain chains?
On the top of Mount Everest, and they were trying to explain it away, and I was like, no, dum-dums. It's the flood.
I know. Seashells
on the top
of the mountains.
And
that's evolution.
The highest is like 29,000 feet.
Yeah. All of the mountain chains have seashells.
Is that it? 29,000 feet?
I don't know.
Or
I
is
don't
it
know what the tallest mountain is.
29? It has to be more than that.
I don't know. But I mean, that's like a few miles. 29,000 feet is several miles.
Above
it's like
the
5
clouds.
miles or so. Yeah.
No, it has to be higher than that.
I don't know.
29,000 feet.
Mile High City is what, Denver?
It has to be.
That's a high elevation.
Yeah.
5 miles
I used to live in
is
Denver.
really high elevation. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. But yeah, there are seashells on the tops of all the mountain chains. Yeah. And it's so, belief in something doesn't make it true. We all know that.
Yeah.
Belief is not a science. Belief is a religion.
Yeah.
Evolution is a religion that Satan has thrust upon the world an evolution the theory of evolution really is the basis for a lot of the lies Satan has the world believing today.
Yeah.
It's amazing how he's used that as his stepping stone into all these other lies. These false religions where we're all going to transcend and evolve into godlike creatures someday is based on that belief in evolution. Satan has been very, very busy, and he's the father of lies. He's a master liar, and we have to acknowledge that. So I like to point out that even Darwin acknowledged the inadequacy of evolution. He wrote in 1872, to suppose that the eye, with all of its inimitable contrivances for adjusting the focus to different distances, for admitting different amounts of light, for the correction of spherical and chromatic aberration, could have been formed by natural selection seems, I freely confess, absurd in the highest possible degree.
Yeah.
So I agree, Darwin.
I agree.
It's absurd.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And he also said in The Origin of the Species, his book, why, if species descended from other species by insensibly fine gradations, do we not everywhere see innumerable transitional forms? Why is not all nature in confusion instead of the species being as we see them well defined? Innumerable transitional forms must have existed. Why do we not find them embedded in countless numbers in the crust of the earth?
Yeah.
Why is not every geological formation in every stratum full of such intermediate links? Because they're not. Geology assuredly does not reveal any such finely graduated organic chain. And this perhaps is the most obvious and gravest objection which can be urged against my theory. And I, again, agree with him. Now, atheists will argue, well, then he goes on to explain why it does work. It's like, no.
Yeah.
You can state a fact and then try to say why that fact is not a fact. Come up with all kinds of ways to make it sound plausible, but it's still a fact.
You think he knows the truth now?
He absolutely knows the truth as he's burning in hell. He's wishing he could come and tell all the people how wrong we are, but he can't.
Yeah.
And then, of course, on this page, I have a link to the Creation versus Evolution seminar that we did. And Diane created these videos out of the live stream that we did, and created this seminar series which just adds so much more.
She tweaked it
to that live stream, and it's literally a seminar on creation versus evolution I think if you watch it, you'll find it fascinating. We're basically going to go through these chapters one at a time. Watch those videos if you have not seen them. They're really, really good. Diane did an amazing job putting that together.
Yeah, she did. Long hours.
Yeah.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
So there's three. If you just click on that, it takes you to, there's a 3-part series, and you can watch all 3 right there. So that is the chapter we're going to talk about today. And that's it. So I'm going to do 1 chapter per live stream. And, I could go on and talk more about, how old is the earth and, the dinosaurs and all that, but we're going to do that in subsequent live streams. So, and anybody is welcome to read ahead, of course, if you want. We'll definitely watch that, seminar series, and study. The more times you see something, it's like the more, if you read a book a couple of times, you pick up on stuff the second time that you missed the first time. Most
movies.
people, movies, you'll see things you maybe missed the first time around. So, studying something more than once, if you really want to know the information, is a good thing.
We all know somebody who calls themselves an atheist. We all know somebody. Yeah. So make sure you share this video with them.
Yeah. And share that seminar series, because it's 6 hours long. But anyone interested in actual information about anything, I know that most people can't do more than 3 minutes today, but anyone who really wants to know something, you have to go longer than 3 minutes if you want to learn something, So it is 6 hours, but it's well worth the time.
So they can take their time and watch it over a period of a week or whatever.
The videos are really good because they give facts and everything. They have video clips and stuff.
Yeah. So I am going to call it early today. It's only been an hour, but
Wow.
I didn't have a whole lot of news to talk about, and that went pretty quick.
That's crazy.
In this chapter, so
We always
that's
go
really-
2 hours.
I know I usually have a hard time keeping it to 2 hours, but I don't want to go ahead and go to the next chapter. So and I
Yeah.
really don't have any more news. I mean, there's just so much. If you're new to the channel, I invite you to go to videos.prophecyandtruth.com, and there's a link here to the live streams where we do the lives. They're broadcast on this website, but we also upload all of our videos here. And if you go to videos.prophecyandtruth.com and just watch the videos on the first page, just on the home page. Watch the video, the big picture, the grand mosaic that God painted, the story of the Bible, a really good video. I'm not tooting my own horn. I've had other people tell me what a great video that is. So, watch the story of the Bible, watch the, modern day biblical prophecy connection stuff. The stage is set for Satan's takeover of the world. I mean, literally, Satan has set the stage. He's destroying the Western powers. He's setting up the world for his Antichrist takeover. He literally is, and he has almost absolute control of the world already. If anyone who's been alive for the last 4 years as an adult knows that there's a they, that there's somebody pulling the puppet strings, because everybody across the world did the same thing. They're answering to the same person. And it's not a person, it's a group of people, but it ultimately is Satan that leads them all on his puppet strings. And he's got the stage completely set, and then the end game agenda, talks about all the millions of people that are actually involved and in control. Most of them, the vast majority of them, have no idea what the grand plan is. Most of them have no idea that they're even part of some grand plan.
Yeah.
They're just in their own little sphere of influence. They've been convinced that what they're doing is a good thing, or they're just using their greed to make them do it, or blackmail, or whatever it is. They've got them convinced to just do their part, even though they don't know the grand scheme. Who's the puppet master? Who's they? Watch these videos, because if you're like me, I'm not saying to watch these videos to promote anything. I don't make money off it. I publish all this stuff and give it away for free. I make nothing. I make zero. My purpose here is just to open people's eyes. And when I say your eyes will be opened, because when I discovered these facts and this information, my eyes were opened. I was mind blown about a lot of things, especially when you look at Islam and how Satan set up the Muslims to fail absolutely when the Antichrist of the Bible takes over the world, because he set up exact duplicate prophecies of the Bible. If you haven't seen that before, on my website under the notes menu, there's an article called Islam and the Bible. So BibleProphecyandTruth.com, under the notes menu, Islam and the Bible. I talk about where Islam came from, and where it really started, what it is. And then I have a list of 21 false prophecies that Satan has in Islam that match the Bible exactly, except the exact opposite. So when the prophecies of the Bible come to pass, guess what? Satan has set up every Muslim to believe it's their prophecies. They're going to think the Antichrist of the Bible is their good guy, their Mahdi.
When I started working on that video, Wars and Rumors of War, I was watching videos trying to get more information on war and stuff, and these fighters were talking about God. Well, God will help us to prevail. And I'm thinking, so they're Christians. It can be really confusing. It wasn't. They were Muslim.
Oh, yeah, they call Allah
Yeah, they
God.
will
The
say,
great God. Yeah.
they'll talk about God and they'll say God, but it's not our real God.
No, it's
Right.
Allah.
And that's what I talk about in this article is,
Mhm.
that it is not the God of Abraham that they worship. In fact, it's not the great God either. When somebody says Allahu Akbar, they're not saying Allah is the great God. They're saying Allah is the greatest. Because Satan is trying to set himself up as the great God. And when they say God, their God is not at all the God of the Bible.
Mm-mm.
Even though they will tell you it is, it's not. It's not the God of Abraham. In fact, that's what I talk about here in this article is, when Baal of the Old Testament came into being, it was the God of, the Hubal, the God of the Meccans, which the Meccans were descendants basically from the Moabites, which worshiped Baal. And in First Kings, the prophets of Baal were cutting themselves, crying with loud voices, and with swords and lances, which is exactly what the Muslims do on the Islamic Day of Ashura. There's everything about Islam is the same as Baal worship. And Baal was the moon god. The gods of the Moabites were the heavenly bodies, the sun, moon, and stars. And the moon being the largest in the sky to the naked eye, that was the great God. That was Allah, was the moon god. That's who they're worshiping today. It's not the God of the Bible. It's the God that Satan set up to counter Israel when God created Israel through Abraham's descendants.
Yeah, I even saw a video where it looked like it was like the rapture, and it showed a man on a white horse, like it was supposed to be God. And then there were other men behind him, a bunch of men that were going across the sky, and then it showed people looking up at him. And you think that it's the Bible rapture, and it's
That's
not.
Islam.
After seeing that and learning more, I thought that's their interpretation of it.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Because Satan has set up the exact duplicate of biblical prophecy in Islam.
Right.
Because he knows it's going to happen exactly as the Bible says. So he set it up so that it's exactly the same as the Bible, except the opposite, to fool everyone. That's how good of a liar he is. He's actually set up prophecy in multiple religions, not just Islam, that will fool everyone when the prophecies of the Bible come to pass. Yeah, so if this is all news to you, please, check out Islam and the Bible in the notes. Also on my channels, there's the false religions. If you look at, these false religion videos on videos.prophecyandtruth.com, there's tons and tons and tons of, and this is a really good video that Jay did. It's only 6 minutes long.
Oh, that is
Every
good.
Christian in the world needs to watch that video.
Yeah, that was really good.
A good video.
Yeah. And then, Jesus is literally everything. God, if you don't understand the Bible, you might not understand that God's plan from the very beginning was to become a man and live in the created universe that he made as a man and have a people to live with and dwell with forever. That was the plan of God from the very beginning. It's all about Jesus. because that is God manifest in the flesh. That's how God became part of his own creation, by becoming a man. And we have to understand that. That's everything right there, that understanding. So I'm just kind of poking around a little bit, inviting people, if you're new, to check these things out, because it's so important to understand what Satan is doing, and it's so important to understand the real plan of God, what's really going on, and understanding what God promised us in the end. There's going to be no pain and no sorrow and no death. When God finishes all this, and this is a testing ground. He's growing his crop, so to speak, and he's finding all those that will love him. And he's going to take all those that love him into eternity, where it'll be literal bliss forever. I know we can't even comprehend that.
Yeah.
But that's what he promises us. And there's going to be no crying, no pain, no sorrow, no death. I know we can't comprehend that, but when men were not made to die, God did not create man to die. Death came as a result of sin, of disobedience to God. That's why death wreaks havoc on our souls. When someone dies, it's the most horrible thing to endure, is the loss of someone. But it's because we were not made to die. That's not what we were supposed to be doing.
Supposed to be living forever.
And that's what we're going to do in the end. God set up everything so perfectly that anyone who doesn't want to believe in God has every excuse that they want.
So just think about the best vacation you've ever had and multiply it by 10.
Well, or multiply it by 1,000,000. Yeah. But that's the thing, is God set up everything exactly because he did not want robots. Yes, he could have created robots. He does not want robots. He created us in his image. He gave us the ability to think, to decide, to choose. And he knows that most people will, in their arrogance and their pride and their selfishness, will not choose him. They will choose evil.
Yeah, even though he knew that we would break his heart.
Yes. But he's allowing it to happen so that we can make those choices. And those that choose him will get to be with him forever. It's really that simple.
That's why we need to stop acting ugly, because it breaks Jesus' heart.
Yeah. And if you love God, you don't want to break his heart. You don't want him to look at you, with disappointment.
Yeah.
Even though none of us are worthy, none of us can be worthy.
We can try.
But it's simply acknowledging God and loving him for what he's done, believing and obeying him, which is very easy. We don't have to obey all the hundreds of laws of the Old Testament. All we need to do is believe in Jesus and follow him in obedience. Love him.
He said his yoke is not heavy.
And it's not. So I'm going to call it. I know it's early, but
that's all right.
I'm sure we'll have more news
find other
on
things
Sunday.
to do.
Yeah. Well, go to videos.prophecyandtruth.com and do some binge watching.
Yeah, that's a very good idea.
There's lots of videos. And then, go to rumble.com/Bible prophecy and go to the live tab. And we've got, I don't know, a couple hundred lives that we've done over the last couple of years. So there's plenty that you can watch. So
those are real interesting too.
Yeah, we've talked about a lot of stuff. So let me pray and then we'll say goodbye. So thank you, Lord, for everything, for loving us, for making us, creating us in your image, for giving us a mind that can think and reason and choose with a will of our own, that we can choose you, Lord. And we do so willingly, gratefully, Lord, because you are so awesome. And we thank you for everything you're doing, everything you've done, and everything you're about to do, Lord. Praise your holy name, Jesus. Amen.
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 Jody and Jay. Jay said, no, he didn't.
So,
Jody and Jay.
yeah, not a lot of people with us today, but that's okay. I know a lot of people watch later.
Yep, Sachi and Adam, we know they're watching later. And then all the other people that will watch later.
Yeah.
We
So
appreciate that.
we love you all.
Yes.
God bless you.
Yeah, we love you. Let's see if any go over here. So make sure that you share this video. Share it. Subscribe to the channel and give it a big thumbs up. Turn on your notification bell so you do not miss any little old videos.
Yeah.
Jody
And you
said,
can
thank you guys.
subscribe.
Love you guys. Love you too, Jody.
Yeah, you too, Jody. Thank you. And you can subscribe on the videos.prophecyandtruth.com site too, just by clicking the notify me there, and put in your email address, and you will be notified of new videos. We don't notify of the live streams because we do them every Wednesday and Sunday. But anytime I upload a new video there, I send a notification. So sign up there, sign up on Rumble, and follow us there, and click the notification bell, and join us on all our future lives.
I can hear Duke snoring. He sounds like a bear. It's like like a really low grumble or whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing up. We love
Thank
you.
Joe.
Thank you for
Appreciate
taking
you.
us shopping
Joe,
with you, Jay.
Jay.
I'd love to shop.
Who's Joe?
Huh?
I said Joe. I'm like, who's
Jody and
Joe?
Jay.
Jody and Jay. So
It's a very lonely chat tonight.
that's all right.
Yeah, some nights are like that. I know that Amerigun is usually here and David watches later. So
That's okay. So we love everyone, and we know life happens, and people get busy doing other things. You can't always be on the live, but
so sissy,
when you watch later, it's all good too. So
do that.
Praise God.
Do the spiel.
Okay, so if you like what you saw on our live stream tonight, and you think it's really interesting, and you want to learn some more content, go to BibleProphecyandTruth.com. If you have any questions or comments for Dan on what we talked about, what he talked about tonight, you can get in touch with him at prophecyandtruth@gmail.com. You can see this on video and watch it later, and you can binge watch some other great videos like Creation versus Evolution on youtube.com/prophecyandtruth. You can even go over to rumble.com/BibleProphecy. You can find all the videos that we've done so far at videos.prophecyandtruth.com, and you can binge watch right from there. We've got some really good videos that have been put out, and I strongly encourage you, if you are new to our live stream, come back and watch some more. We talked about some really cool things.
Yeah, there's a lot of videos to watch.
Well,
Right, Cardi?
Talk about
Thank you,
evolution.
Diane.
Talk about evolution. We evolved from the first video that we ever put out.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, we've come a long way.
I guess we haven't really gotten any better, but a little better. When we added Annie, Jody was on there for a while, and then she left, and now we have Annie. She stuck it out.
Yeah. And Annie just adds just that extra dynamic.
When she's not
makes it
here,
so
I
much
don't know
more
what to
interesting.
do. I'm just like, well,
Yeah, you guys are gonna miss Cardi when he has to
Yeah.
go to night. Goodbye, Cardi.
I hope you sleep well tonight and don't get up at 2 o'clock in the morning smelling stuff. Food cooking.
Pockets.
Hot Pockets. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, so we really, really hope everybody has a great rest of your week and into the weekend. We will see
back
everybody
Sunday.
next Sunday, 6:30 Eastern Time PM. Share the video. Thumbs up. Right?
Okay.
Notification bell.
Love you all.
Yes, and we will see you next week.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you too, sister.
See you later.
Love you. Goodbye.